time is now 9:11. And hey, for some of you, the new school year is already underway. And as we head into the season of tests and quizzes, what if we told you there are specific strategies students can use on exams to increase their chances of success? This is according to a standardized testing expert when it comes to the SAT and the ACT. He joins us in studio with the details. Chief Academic Officer, Varsity Tutors, Brian Galvin. Brian, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You know, I used to have test anxiety, and I took an SAT course, and it boosted my score by like 500 points. So I know that this makes a difference. You've helped thousands of students prep for the SAT. Before we get into your strategies, are these types of tips helpful for exams beyond the SAT?
Oh, of course, yeah. SAT, ACT, GMAT, GRE, LSAT, MCAT. Like, there's sort of a style that standardized tests have, and it's sort of a unique skill that once you get your mind in that mindset, you can be great at all standardized tests.
Okay, so you have a couple of strategies. Can you break down the first one for us?
Yeah, first one I like to say is play offense, not defense. And, you know, we don't want anybody at home to have a scratch pad. So I'm going to ask you a question, and people can play along at home. It's sort of like an SAT reading question. So if I say, which of the following best summarizes the plot of Cinderella? Then I give you two answer choices. One is, helped by her fairy godmother, a poor girl prepares to stay out all night at a royal ball where she meets the man of her dreams and her Prince Charming and lives happily ever after.
Okay, that was option one.
Second one is seemingly destined to live out her days doing chores for her stepsisters. A poor girl is able to turn her fortunes around despite a wardrobe malfunction at a royal party.
Well, I like that the subject on the answer two is on Cinderella, but I feel like you get more details on the first one. What's the answer?
And what it comes down to is it's a lot like the candy discussion, right? You do that in a class and everybody's saying, well, I like Junior Mints and I like, I like that this one said happily ever after. I said, no. Remember in that first one, I said that she stays out all night. That's the fatal flaw. We all know she had to be home by midnight.
That's right.
And the strategy is that if you think in a classroom when you're talking about reading and literature in school, kids, the best students find the good in everyone's answer, right? Oh, you know, Happy, I like when you mentioned this about mice and men or whatever. On a test, you need to go on offense, find the fatal flaw. And if you see stay out all night, you criticize that right away.
Okay.
There's always something to like in every wrong answer, but they put a fatal flaw in the most tempting ones. And so your job is to be on offense. Don't try to find the good in it. Find the bad.
I am not critical enough, so thanks for getting me there. Okay,
seriously. Fast too, so.
No, that was great. I loved it. Okay, the second one is answers are assets, and what do you mean by that?
So if I were to ask you a question, like say, what is the capital of the German state of Saarland?
Right. I might not have an immediate answer for you.
No idea. But if I give you answer choices, I think we may have them for the screen. Right? We say, okay, maybe it's Wiesbaden, maybe it's Tampa, maybe it's Saarbrücken, maybe it's Guanajuato. Now what do you say?
These feel like deep cuts. Man, I did not study hard enough for this one. Is it bad that I don't know which one it is?
Not at all. So they don't test geography on the SAT, but again, it's not good TV to make people take out a scratch pad and do algebra, right? So if I said it's the capital of Saarland, so it's as you said, German. So it's probably not Guanajuato, which is a Spanish word, or Tampa, which is kind of Spanish. Saar is in both of those. Generally, what we find when we do this as an intro example before we get into hard math is that's the first question with no answer choices. Nobody gets it. You give them the answer choices, and people tend to have a pretty good shot, and about 90% of people get it right. And the overall strategy is answers are assets.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may look at a math question and say, this is pretty dense algebra in the beginning, but the answer choices are -1, 0, 5, and 10. Those are easy to do arithmetic. I'll plug them back in and see if I get the right answer. Or other times they give you clues, right? Like that SAR connection between the two we did in there, where the problem gives you 2 or 3 fractions with algebra.
Yeah.
All the answer choices only have 1 fraction. So even if you aren't sure where to start, you can kind of make what they gave you look like the answer choice and say, okay, well, I need to combine the fractions. So you can use the answers as clues. You can use them for back solving. You can use them. Oh, absolutely. It's such a, in school, you have to show your work. So you kind of get punished for taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
But here, they don't care what you do on your scratch pad. So if you can look at the answer choices and say, okay, it's got to be, one of these. How do I connect the dots between question and answer? One of my favorite things a student told me one time was, I love multiple choice questions. I know people don't, but I love them because the right answer is always in front of me. And that means I just need to find the connection between question and answer. So answers are assets. If you're unsure where to start or if you think you're working too hard, look at the answer choices for clues.
Brian, I'm pretty sure I blacked out once we started doing this pop quiz on television, so I'm glad you're Well, hey, we're ruling things out. Process of elimination.
Exactly.
These are great strategies. Okay, so your next secret is about how it's not your father's Oldsmobile. I'm really interested in that one.
Okay, so everyone is, the SAT is just embedded in our pop culture, right? If you're a 90s kid like me, I guarantee you can summarize the plot points of a famous Saved by the Bell that centers around the SAT. Zach gets a higher score than Jesse, and it puts her into a panic. Famous Beverly Hills 90210 about the SAT, where Brenda's trying to convince Dylan to take it, aired here on Fox 20-some years ago. But that's 20-some years ago. So I got a text a couple months ago from my cousin who has twins who are starting their senior year right now. And he goes, hey, settle a bet at the dinner table. Is there a guessing penalty on the SAT? And I panicked, like right away. I just shut down at dinner. Like, I know what conversations happen. When he took the test in the 90s, there was a penalty for guessing. But his kids are going to take it in the next couple weeks, and that hasn't been a thing for 20 years.
Things change dramatically. Gosh, Brian, we could be here all day long. I hate that I have to wrap. I feel like my brain grew in just a matter of a couple of minutes. Brian Galvin with Varsity Tutors, thanks for being with us this morning.
Oh, of course, and there's more where that came from at Varsity Tutors. We've got, we're going to be doing a series of classes for free in September on the SAT, on the ACT. We've got a Harvard admissions consultant, an officer that works with us. So please come back for more. Quick teaser. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, of course, Brian. Okay, so hey, we want to get to your mega poll.